Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Jack Chen on the line. He's co-founder and CEO over at SWIDIA. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
All right, Jack, so excited to get into today's topic. So performance and growth marketing for startups. But before we get into that, let's get a little bit further into what you're doing over at SWIDIA. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Yeah, no problem at all. We are a team based in Chicago. We're a team of specialists that have a track record of growing and scaling startups through performance and growth marketing, just like you said. And hopefully by the end of our relationship with startups, what we can come out is developing a self-sustaining marketing program that brings in new leads, users, customers, and eventually that consistent revenue stream that they're all looking for. And I've had the absolute pleasure of working with some fast-growing startups, and we hope to keep that going.
Man, I love it. And that's a great transition. So let's just jump right in. So performance and growth marketing for startups. I mean, where do you want to begin with this one?
I think it's important to kind of start with the problem at hand and kind of the industry as a whole. I think it's a great place to start.
All right, so give it to us. What's the problem? Where are they starting? Come on.
Cool. So I mean, I'll tell you the problem I guess that people are trying to solve, and then I'll tell you what I think the real problem is, and how we're handling that. So just quickly setting the stage, Adam, you're a high growth B2C company, right? You're venture funded. You could be a D2C product. You could be a tech marketplace, whatever it is. You're killing it. And let's say you have funding from a VC and you got your product market fit validated. Right now, you're starting to look for new users. You want to acquire new users and you want to start getting ROI to a point that's profitable, right? So you've got maybe 3 to 4 people in-house. You've got a product person, a marketing person. They're wearing a million hats as usual. And now that you have funding, you've got investors breathing down your neck, expecting you to scale. So what this kind of leads into is, high growth companies needing market insights, results much faster than traditional companies, right? What I like to say is they need massive growth in a short period of time on limited budgets, which is a pretty difficult problem to solve, right? And what often happens is they end up burning cash on marketing campaigns that don't generate that important insight, those users, and then obviously ROI. So that's the main problem that's occurring right now in the marketplace for venture funded startups.
And so where do you find some of the, obviously we can talk about the full solutions, but what do you think are some of the low-hanging fruit for some of the startups that are out there listening right now and I know this is going to change, by the way, from company to company, founder to founder, their experience and all those other things, but I do know that certain themes tend to arise with the amount of companies you work with. So what is some of that low-hanging fruit that you think startups should be thinking about immediately if they know that their game plan's kind of off?
Yeah, I think what's important is developing a component of growth and product strategy along with the marketing. As you're growing your startup, there's a couple important elements. On the media marketing side, it's all about that CAC and LTV ratio that they've heard a million times, right? You got to get your users, you got to grow across several channels, and how does it all work together as a growth right process? On the product side, it's about testing the new features. Who are the audiences that you want to test? What are the in-app experiences if you're a tech company that you need to improve? And then, as you have this marketing and products, what's going to end up happening is you're going to get a lot of data. And what we've seen is, data at startups is a tough job, and it's one of the most important jobs, especially if you're a tech startup, e-commerce as well, right? And when you have all this data, you're not a Fortune 500 company, 1,000 company. You don't have all these resources, right, to build in data architectures. And so what's really important is finding that specialized operating partner or even doing it yourself, making sure that you're tracking all this attribution. Where are the users going? How are they experiencing it in your app or your website or your product, right? And how are all of this coming together to serve that need that they're trying to hit with investors, right? What are the investor goals? How can you keep building that traction? So I would always look at, how are you scaling your users? That's the first part of it. right? And the second part of it is how can you start testing things within your product that can give you meaningful results? If you're a tech app, you already know what to do, right? What are the barriers that you need to remove? What are the user flows? If you're a physical product, that may be the website experience, that may be the conversion experience, and so forth. And then finally, just working backwards, right? It's pretty common for most startups to say, cool, here's a track record that we need to hit for getting these investors their solutions that they want to see and the results they want to see. So let's work backwards and see what do we need to attributes, how are we going to clean up our data, how do we prove these numbers out. So I would say those three things, in no particular order of importance, are actually pretty relevant for a startup at any size.
So in terms of, and you may or may not see any, but you have a unique vantage point being, working with startups specifically in your niche. Any kind of trends that you notice that are just interesting to you right now?
More so on the marketing side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the data, everything else, it changes so fast. So I'm always asking people, and they're like, "Why do you do this podcast?" I'm like, "'Cause I'm learning from my company too. So tell me the trends. Let me know what's going on, Jack."
Yeah. Well, I think what's most important is when you're a startup, you're trying to find the most popular, affordable, and reliable ways to scale, right, in general. And so if we're speaking about marketing in particular, there's a couple of places you can start at, right? The first thing, hands down, 100%, paid social, right? So whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and TikTok. Because what ended up happening is Facebook and Instagram and Google accounted for 70% of the digital ad spend in 2019. That is a lot of it, right?
Wow.
So what ended up happening was these other platforms got really insecure, and they're saying, okay,
poor Bing.
What is going on? Like, why is all this marketing spent on Facebook? Clearly, they have a superior ad product. Guys, we need to catch up. And so they did. They spent some time and they matured their ad products, both self-serve and IO. And now you're starting to see all these other platforms emerging. They were there before, right? But I can tell you right now, like in this period of time, March 10th, 2020, in the midst of this quarantine and, insanity, that digital ads is insanely cheap. CPMs are dropping to levels that you have never seen before. You're getting Christmas seasonal level of return and spend and results during these times. And so Snapchat CPM has been the talk right now. If you're not running ads on Snapchat or if you're not utilizing ads on Snapchat, please get on that, right? Both organic, whether that's through an influencer, you're generating content yourself, or you're doing a campaign or running ads. Snapchat is the place to be, right? Twitter just as well, and TikTok, I don't even need to start there. We all know it's that crazy thing that's going on that everybody's trying to get on, right? Just start sending your products to influencers. I've noticed a big trend where DTC brands or even app brands are just saying, hey guys, like just try it for free. I'm going to send you the product for free. And all I ask is that you try it out. And if you like it, make a TikTok video. And you're starting to see all these little growth hacks come about amidst the quarantine time because these influencers have nothing to do at home. They can't go outside. They can't, hang out with their friends. They're just at home creating content. And so I would say paid social, not even paid, just social in general, right? Paid if you can afford it, right? Because you can scale it, measure it, and iterate on it, is the best place to be right now. The second thing I would look into in terms of a trend is paid search. And again, right, amidst these times, it's all about fulfillment. So when you're typing something in Amazon or your in-app searches or Google and, unfortunately Bing, kind of getting the rough end there, what are they typing in? People are inputting so much of their digital needs and intent through Google, through in-app searches, and you can really start to see the trend on what are people searching now that they're at home more often, right? And when you have demand fulfillment in place, it's so much easier to convert them because they're already searching for that. The intent has already been generated. And so paid search is definitely one to not underestimate. And then finally, I always say, don't ever forget about email marketing. Email marketing has always got the shorter end of the stick because, people feel like it's spammy and it's old and open rates are low and conversion and clicks are low, but it is still one of the most affordable and highest ROI generating methods of working with a list that you already have, right? Especially your lower middle funnel, you need to reactivate them, to try out your product in different ways and so forth. So that's a long-winded answer. Hopefully that answers some questions.
No, you answered so much, and no, it was perfect. And I always tell people, I'm like, hey, do not sleep on that email list. That email list is the best ever, and that's the way to connect with your community. Your client base is your community. People, I mean, if you're not generating content for them, or if you don't have anything to send them, then shame on you. That's the native part of things, and you need to come up with some content and add some value so that you can send them an email. If you can't do that, then you're messing up.
Adam, you sound like you know what you're doing. I can see it.
Well, I don't know. I do not to brag about email open rates over here, but
yeah.
That's too funny. That's all I got. I got low everything else, but I got good
great. I love it, man. I love it.
So, Jack, that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on SWIDIA or to connect, two-part question. First part, what are the right types of businesses and or niches that you like working with? I know startups, but is it all startups? Is there certain niches that you prefer versus others? And that's first part of the question. Second part, what's the best way for them to follow up?
Yeah, no problem. So the type of clientele we absolutely love working with and stepping up to the challenge with is, in fact, startups. Startups mainly in the seed, Series A, B, C stages. Usually, if you have some type of marketing spend ready to allocate, then we're your right partners, right? The second type is, not just startups. You don't have to be a startup. When I say high growth companies is who we work with, VC-funded startups is one particular segment of it. We also love to work with DTC companies, self-made companies, CPG companies, all of the sorts. As long as you can benefit from the proper marketing and growth strategy, then we're your ideal client. This usually ranges typically from the 1 million to 100 million revenue range as well. So I know that's a huge range, but that usually typically kind of covers the field for small businesses and startups and high growth companies.
Awesome. And what's the best way for them to reach out?
And if you have any questions, I'd love to just have conversations. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so you can search us on LinkedIn, SWIDIA. Or you can go to SWIDIA.com, just have a blast and check out what we do. And we've got a great creative portfolio that I'm sure you'll dig and reach out to us for anything we can help you with.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, hey, Jack, great having you on the show today. Appreciate all the tips and you gave to startups and to myself and everybody else listening. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. I'd love to know what kind of projects and things you got working on. And Jack, thanks again for coming on.